Of course, other people in uniform at the time were the soldiers, weren't they?
Yeah, oh, we had lots of soldiers, and the Lancers, the Dragoon Guards, all sorts. And then the Buffs, this was at their depot, the Buffs. The other soldiers, the horse soldiers, cavalry, used to come and go, different regiments.
Did you ever see them about the town
Oh,
much?
yes. That's why we weren't allowed to go out much as children.
Why were you told not to go out because of the soldiers? Were they considered rough?
Oh, yes, you never knew what they got up to, especially Saturdays. But they used to go round in 2s and 3s. They never came our way.
Not up St. Radigan?
No. Only in the main streets.
Of course, your father had been a soldier at
Yeah.
one time, hadn't he? What did he think of soldiers? Did he say they'd changed since he was a young man?
Oh, yes, they never... It's like everything else. When you're getting older, nobody's as good as you were.
So he didn't like the soldiers in Canterbury?
Oh, yes, yes, he didn't mind the soldiers. Yes. Because during the war, the beginning of the war, my brother and I used to take a pillar slip or a sack or something and go up to the camps and get the food. Get the stale bread or anything that was going, meat, up the old park.
Where was it they used to be camped?
Right, as I say, on the old park.
Mm-hmm.
In those places. That was the beginning of the war. I was getting older then.
How did the World War I affect the Canterbury military situation? Did lots more come or did lots more go?
Oh, lots of soldiers came. We had some billeted on us. We had 4 in the front room.
Do you have much choice about the matter?
Well, yes, Mother could say how many she wanted. And if they were any trouble, you only had to tell the pay officer when he came round. But we didn't have any trouble with ours. Some people did. Yeah. They were fine. Liverpool boys. The cyclists we had first. They were lovely boys. They were there for Christmas. No. They had the beds in the front room. They never came out in the kitchen or anything.
The front room was out of action in World War I. Right, can I ask you a little bit now about the hop picking that you mentioned last time? Where did you used to go for your hop picking?
Coltups, Harbour Down. There were several hop gardens round about, but we always went to Coltups. That was supposed to be the best place. There was my mother, my brother and me. And my sister-in-law used to go with the baby. And the neighbours, but they didn't come to our hop garden. They went to different ones.
Most of the people in the street went somewhere, did they?
Mm.
Just the women and the children?
That's right.
So the whole street would virtually empty?
Oh, yes. Yes, from about 6:30, 6:30 in the mornings. We all used to get ready and put on your... Oh, it was cold in the mornings then because you had to get up at 6 o'clock. Get ready and go. All your warm things on, and you had a truck. You know, those little boxes on 2 wheels. And all your coats. Mother used to make a couple of bottles of tea, perhaps a quart bottle. And it was hot. She'd wrap it up in things. And she'd made the sandwiches or whatever was going. And we used to trot off to Coltups. Babies used to travel in the trucks with the coats on top to keep it warm.
What time of the year would this be?
Beginning of September, end of August, beginning of September.
And you'd go hop picking for...
Every day.
For how many weeks?
Oh, about 6.
You're supposed to be at school then in September?
No, you had the holidays.
The
We had
holidays
6 weeks holiday special for hop picking.
Did you go to school then earlier in the summer? Did
That
you go
was
in July,
called
August?
agriculture. No. Oh, July and August, yes. But September, and it would go into October for the hop picking. And as soon as we got out in the hop garden, you'd have a hot cup of tea out of these bottles, and something to eat, bread and butter. You didn't have time before. You had appetite by the time you got out there. And then 7 o'clock, he'd call, the binman would call all to work, and you'd sit down and pick. Many a time Mother's got up a clod of dirt and thrown at us. We weren't picking fast enough. But the first day, when you went, one of the family would have to go to the host house and collect your tally card. That was a card that you had to put your hops down, how many you picked, each time he came round to empty. And you had the number of your alley on the card. Say you were number 8, well, it was marked on the poles. And that was your number right through the hop picking. And every so often he'd come round, I don't know, twice in the morning, twice in the afternoon. He'd come round for full baskets. That was 5 bushel in a big basket. Have you seen the bushel basket, the 5 tally baskets? But Mother said they used to pick in bins before when she was young, but not when I was young. Of course, we never had the proper bushel baskets. We couldn't afford them. We had bars, tins, buckets, boxes, anything to pick in. But you got the right measurement when you emptied them in the tally bin.
Where did you get all these little odd things from? Did you have to provide those?
All the boxes and things that you picked in, yes.
And you'd take them down to the
Your chairs or stools, you had to provide them.
So you carted all these up in the morning?
No, we didn't. You send a cart, horse and cart, and you tied them all up, put them all together, put your name on them, and if you lost a basket, you lost name and all.
So they used to be up there for 6 weeks?
Yes. Yes, you put them under the bines at night when you'd finished. Cover them up with the bines, the baskets and stools. Then when you went to another hop garden, you had to carry them with you. So that was that. And if Mother got a good tally basket, she used to carry that round with her too. Or make us carry it between us. It was fun, kids made fun of it. But it was darn hard work.
What sort of time would you finish in the evening?
Oh, about 5, 6. I've known to go in the mornings when it's dark and come home when it's dark. You'd pick until you couldn't see.
How did you get paid? Did you pay you
At the end?
On how much you picked?
Yes, how many hops you'd picked. How many 5 bushels you picked. But we never knew at Coltups how much we was getting. But Hubble's next hop garden, if they didn't know by the 3rd day what they was getting, they'd go on strike. And when he told them how much they was getting, if it wasn't enough, they'd still go on strike. So, of course, we used to sit and pick. We never went on strike.
You never knew how much for a 5 bushel you were getting?
No, but we always got the same as Hubble's, who'd struck. Sometimes 8 more. So we always had the laugh of them because we could sit and pick while they were on strike.
You never thought that he ought to have told you how much you got?
It was a thing, it was one of those things that happened. We trusted him and he trusted us. Coltips. He was a very fair man to work for. Nobody gave him any trouble.
Where did most of his workers come from? Were they from local areas?
Yeah, from Canterbury. Canterbury, and he had his own pickers. You know, his own farm workers. They used to pick.
How did you get on with them?
Very well. He was considered he was considered a gentleman to work for. Very nice.
Did you mix in with the farm workers? People
No,
in Canterbury?
no, not a lot. But of course, then we had dinner, 12 o'clock, and we had this tea. It was cold by then. And after the tea had gone, you had water. You used to go and get the water from the pumps and taps and things. And that was that. But of course, Mother could always have a sub. Any of them could have a sub at the end of the week. You'd say to the tallyman, I want some money tonight. There were certain days, I think, certain nights that you could go and in the house and get some money, and it would be marked on your card how much you had. Yeah. So you didn't always have a big sum at the end. I think they paid out about 8p for 5 bushel in those days.
How long would it take to pick 5 bushels?
Well, I can't really say then how much Mother picked. But I know later years I've picked as many as 3 baskets, 3 5s, 15 bushel a day. And that was a decent picker. So 3 8's 24 shillings she used to earn a day. That was a lot of money those days.
8p.
Oh, yes. Pence. Dear, oh dear. Well, it was a lot of money, wasn't it? 24 pence. What was that? 2 bob a day. Yeah.
Were there many people from London or anywhere else in the county?
They used to go to Hubbell's, the Londoners. They was the ones that used to strike. So, there was always fights if you met the London boys, the Coltip boys. Always fights with the Kent boys and the London boys.
The boys, the little boys?
Mm. Yeah.
Did you ever mix with the adults, your mother?
No. Yes, it used to be funny sometimes when you was what they call skirmishing. That's different rows, different vines were left up. And we used to have to go from our row to their rows and pick them off. You never know whose row you was going in. And there'd be rows over the ops. Because you went there and you pulled down as many as you could get. Then somebody come along, that was my vine. I was sitting there. Then there'd be a row, but you'd carry on picking.
Skirmishing, this was still to be put in the baskets?
Oh yes, you had the vines that were left up. Stray vines.
After this is presumably the end of the hop picking?
The end of the hop garden, that certain hop garden, you see. Before we moved to another one. That's the only time you had the rows in the hop gardens. Unless the children, you rode over the children. Yes.
Where did these Londoners stay?
In the huts at Hubbell's. Coltips didn't have any huts. He didn't believe in them.
What were the huts like? What sort of arrangements did they have for living in them?
Well, just one room with bunks in. And they had the fires outside, a big fire, boiled the kettles on that for the evening and cooked their meals on it. On an open log fire. We used to love the smell of the fires. But different people in the hop gardens, in our hop garden, used to light fires for their dinner time cup of tea. They used to take the sugar milk and tea and that. And of course we didn't have flasks those days. It was ordinary bottles, any old bottles, to put the tea in.
Your mother didn't take beer up to the hop garden?
Oh no, it wasn't allowed, it was on your card. No beer to be taken in the hop garden. You get locked up. Or sent out of the ground. because that would cause trouble.
Were there any other regulations that you...
You had to pick clean hops and no pilfering of any of the things, because sometimes you were side of a potato field and you had a few potatoes, and another time you was near an orchard, well, the children used to go scrumping, getting apples or anything, unless the governor caught you, and he'd thump you. He always had a stick, and he wouldn't go and tell your mother, he'd give you down good hiding.
Were there any things that you could pick up legitimately while you were hop picking? You weren't allowed...
Not really. No, not really. Anything you could pick up.
Did you ever get horse chestnuts? Or
Oh, we got those
berries?
differently. That was after hop picking. You went round the Jesuits for them.
Jesuits?
Mm.
Could you tell
You
me
know
a bit
where-
about...
You know where St Stephen's is? Where the, what's the old pub there? The Beverley. Well, further on to that, there was the Jesuits behind there, where all those houses are.
What were the Jesuits? Were they...
Monks.
Oh, I see.
Now, I'll give you a bit of advice. You go round there, you go, there's the church, you go up that hill there, and I think there's still a monument or something up there that belonged to the Jesuits. That is a really all sacred ground. I don't think they should ever have built on it.
Were you allowed to
It's
go...
haunted and all, they say.
Were you allowed to go and pick your berries there, or were you...
We weren't supposed to, but we used to go there. You know, the horse chestnuts we did get from the hop gardens on the way home and in there, but the chestnuts you ate was round at the Jesuits. That's where we used to get over the wall and get the chestnuts, and then somebody would have a game and say, "Look out, look behind you." You'd think you'd got a monk behind you and you'd run.
They
There
used to
wasn't.
chase you off, did they, the monks?
We never saw them, but the other children used to frighten us if they thought we was getting too many chestnuts.
Going back to the hop picking, do you know why you say Coltups didn't believe in Londoners coming up and picking? I've said the Londoners, it's not you that said they were. Did they come from London mainly?
Yes, yes.
Why did Harballs next door rely on Londoners then? Was it because he couldn't get local?
No, yes, he couldn't get enough. He had big hop gardens, and he couldn't get enough pickers. But he'd always had Londoners down. I don't know why. And right up till the latter years when they stopped coming. And over at Peckham where we went, later years, is it on? They had the Londoners. It was in the paper the other day about the huts. Did you see it? Oh, I'll have a look. And they were only like little huts with no gas, electric or anything. You had to have candles.
We've got toilets for them.
One toilet, one end and one the other, I think. You used to have to queue up.
Did they ever come down to Canterbury at the weekends?
Oh, yes, yes. But mostly they'd stop in Peckham or Arbledown. Second Arbledown, Hubbles was. Coltups was first Arbledown.
The first and second Harbledown were the names of the plantations, were they?
No, the road. The villages.
In other words, lower and upper.
That's right.
That's right. You were in lower and they were in
Upper.
upper. I'm with you. All right.
Yeah.
What did the villagers think of the...
Oh, they didn't have anything to do with us. No. Unless you were near one of the villages, they'd take your bottle home in the dinner time and bring it back, hot tea. And you gave them a cup or two. But there were people who used to come round with hot tea and buns. Tea all hot, buns all new, penny for two, they used to shout. And perhaps we'd have a cup of tea between three of us and a couple of buns. If we'd picked, that was. And then the sweet man used to come round. What did he shout? Cry, baby, cry, and make your mother buy rock, cock, sugar doodle. That's what he used to say. And you'd have halfpenny and g'day for the mixed sweets, all sorts.
Where did these traders used to come from? Were they
From
locals?
Canterbury, yes, yeah.
Did your mother really enjoy hop picking, was it?
Well, it was an outing, as I say. She never used to go out, but we always used to go hop picking. But of course there you only had your old clothes because the hops used to stain your hands and your clothes shocking. And she used to enjoy it, walk all that way. But of course it was how far is Alberdale from Canterbury? A couple of 3 miles.
Uphill too?
Yes. Yes, we used to like it in the morning. It was good for us. Getting up and going out in the morning early like that.
How did your father get on when...
Oh, he had to have what he could get. Of course, Mother cooked a little bit of something when we got home at night. But not a lot.
Did he approve of these?
He had to. Yes, he had to come home and get what he wanted.
And so he had to. Is it because he needed the money, or...?
Oh, yes. He'd get a bit of backer afterwards. And, of course, the shops then were open till 10 o'clock at night. You could always get to the shops. Yeah.
Did the shops used to suffer trade
No,
losses?
no. Because you made up in the evening. You went round and got the bread and all that. And your tea and sugar and all sorts of things that you wanted. Meat. Not like for puddings or anything, but it was more cold meats or anything like that. Saveloys. Things like that. So the butchers must have lost. By weekends you had a little bit better joint. The weekend. But it was a good 5 or 6 weeks. Of course, after hop picking, we had all had the new clothes for best, and the best we used to take for school. So we were better off then. And my brother and I always had a hoop. He had a iron one and I had a wooden one, so that we had something for the winter to play with. That was your toys until Christmas. And they were only small things that you had Christmas. Still, we were content. You had to be satisfied with what you got. Everything. Of course, Father, you say, did Father mind? Well, he used to come in for new shirts and that, you see, so he didn't mind.
Did he get any more money for his drinking after
Oh,
this?
no. No.
Did any men ever go hop picking from Canterbury?
Oh, the men from Knott's Lane and that, they used to go in their donkeys and carts instead of going round Totting, because everybody was hop picking, all the people they used to buy off. And they'd take their wives and that in their donkeys and carts, or pony and trap, and off they'd go. And because my brother had one once, and we went to Wickhambrew, and his pony and trap.
When was this? Which brother was this?
Albert.
Oh, this was Albert.
Yeah.
Was this before the war?
No, I think it was after the war. Yes, I was at work. Yes.
How did the hop pickers, the hop
Well, they
growers
used to.
view the Knott's Laners?
Oh, they didn't mind them, as long as they picked the hops and behaved themselves.
Can you ever remember the police having to be called into the hop picking?
No, not at our hop garden.
Next door?
There was always a policeman there at the payout, when they paid the money out, to see that nobody was robbed or anything when we went to get the money. Of Of course, everybody had their best bib and tucker. Mother never used to go and get the money. My sister or sister-in-law used to go and get that. As I say, she didn't have the clothes, that's why she never...
Did you used to go in the evenings after hop picking, did you? Or
What's for?
for the money?
No. For the sub we used to.
Yes.
Mother'd go to the house. But at the end of the hop picking, they would pay you perhaps 2 days after. See.
So you'd have to make a special journey for that.
Yes, yes.
Did they ever have
There
any...
weren't no buses, you had to walk to the hop gardens.
Did he ever have any celebrations for the end of hop picking for his
Oh,
work?
Mother used to have extra jug of beer, yes.
Did the employers ever lay anything on, a harvest supper or...
No. We never went anyway, if there was, but I don't think there was. They used to have enough to pay the money out, let alone giving anything away.
You say you had to walk out to Harbledown.
Yeah.
Did many people then have bikes?
Not a lot, no. No, they didn't bike to, because you had to take a lot of clothes, you see. If it rained, you'd like to sit there and pick all the while it was raining. You'd put as many coats and things on as you could.
You picked every day, whatever the weather.
A lot of it, yes. Of course, if it rained too hard before you went, you didn't go that day. Because you got soaked before you got out there. But if it rained once you was out there, you stopped in case it cleared. Yeah. We used to bless it if we was kids and couldn't get and play or do anything. We used to have to sit under the vines. And that was agony. Sitting for hours, waiting for the rain to stop. Unless there was a shed anywhere and you went under that.
This transport quite interests me. You say that most people walked.
Yeah.
Did many people, or did anyone in St. Redigan's have a bike before World
My
War?
brother Albert used to have a trade bike from the shop. But there weren't many bikes about then. You couldn't afford them, for one thing. Seeing the Knott's Laners and Peter's Laners then had the horses and carts, or trucks, bigger trucks, barrows, you know, like Costa's barrows. That's what they were like.
What was St. Peter's Lane like then?
Nearly the same, a little bit better off they were than Knott's Lane people. But they never used to quarrel unless it was a family quarrel.
Can you remember seeing your first motor car in Canterbury?
Yeah. I can remember that one Zebroski used to have.
Could you tell me about his?
It's called the Chitty Bang Bang now. I don't know if it was then. That used to come by our house.
What was it? Was it an entertainer or?
It's still about, isn't it? Haven't you seen the Chitty Bang Bang picture?
I've seen the film.
That's what it was. That's the exact car. Used to come by our house. Used to kick up a heck of a row.
Why was it called Count Zabrowski's?
That was his name.
Where did he live? Was he
Bridge. Count Zabrowski had a big estate there. Now it's the annex to the hospital. Count Zabrowski's place. We used to hear it coming at the end of the road and you'd run in. Frighten the life out of you.
Seems odd that he would go down St. Radigan's, was it?
Well, not really, because if he came down Newdover Road, turn off there, Broad Street, straight through here to St. Radigan's, and up to up Faversham way, he could go.
Was it quite a through road then, St. Radigan's?
Yes. Used a lot. Of course, we had the horses and traps and broughams, did they call them? You know, what the richer people went in.
To the carriages.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. But no cars, only that one.
What was the road made of then? Can you remember? So they used to spray the dust down. Was it just a dirt road?
Yes. Yes. And of course, if horses come through there, you, you went out with your bucket and spade for the garden. Mother say, quick! Bucket, shovel, out there, quick. That's why they used to like Mr. Austin's horse to stand out beside her house.
Mr. Austin, who was
Next
he?
door. But she used to get it.
What did Mr. Austin do?
He worked for Pickford's. He had a big horse, or two big horses and a cart. The removal people. They used to do carting and all that. They were about the only ones, I think, in Canterbury, Pickford's.
Can you remember, did he ever tell any tales about where he went?
No.
In his removals?
No.